Hello everyone. So welcome you all to Ashok Tutorials Meghalaya's first MTET channel. So my dear friends, as you know that now, though we are dealing with MTET examination, we are talking about Mizoram at this point. Not about Meghalaya, but we are talking about Mizoram because the Mizoram TET will be this month, which is July 2025, right? So our Meghalaya TET has been conducted on the 25th of April recently, right? So we have seen the great result of Meghalaya. Now it is time for Mizoram TET. So that's why we will try to focus on Mizoram. Well, what is special about this video is that whatever the content I will be using in this video, this is old content which is of April, right? So now through this video what I want to share with you is that this is actually a handbook. This is the handbook of Mizoram TET, all right, or MTET. Well, many of the Mizo MTET aspirants, they have been telling me like, sir, we don't know what the syllabus is, we don't know what to study, what are the content which we have to study. They said they don't know, they don't have any idea, and they don't have any syllabus. So browsing through and through, I found this notice. So in fact the handbook. So I might not be reading the entire notice, but I will just try to read the main points, all right? So it is hereby notified for the information of all concerned that the Mizoram Teachers Eligibility Test or MTET 2025 is tentatively scheduled to be conducted by Mizoram Board of School Education during the month of July 2025. See, so this is a notice which was released on the 8th of April 2025. It stated that the Mizoram TET will be conducted in the month of July. Information booklet can be downloaded from the MBSE's official website. So you can download you can download the information booklet from the following websites. All right. Let us talk about now. Application for the MTET 2025 is to be done through the MBSE online portal at this website. So through the following website you can apply for the MTET exam. The date of examination will be notified later. So they said that the date of the examination they will be notifying later. Application forms and examination fees can be submitted through the online portal from 15 April to 15 May. So now, you know, this is the month of July, which means the MTET application is already closed for Mizoram, right? So it was from the 15th of April to the 15th of May, right? So now there is no more application for Mizoram TET. The last date of submission of application form with a late fee of 300 only is 24th May 2025. So even till 24th May, the government of Mizoram, they give you the opportunity to apply for the MTET along with a late fee of rupees 300, right? Fees once paid shall not be refunded under any circumstances. So which means whenever you make payment, never expect back. So once you pay, you pay. Applicants are advised to carefully go through the information booklet and the instructions given therein before submitting their application forms. So it is expected from all the MTET aspirants that we carefully undergo through the information booklet which is provided on the above website. All right. Now, yes, this is the handbook, right? So let us see important dates. Duration of online application. So application started on the 15th of April and the application for Mizoram TET it closed on the 15th May. The last date for submission of application was 15th May. However, with the late fee it was till the 24th of May 2025, right? Now, so content in this handbook will be important notes, background and rationale, applicability, eligibility, procedure to be followed during filling online application form, procedure to be followed during conduct of MTET, instructions for use of answer sheets, structure and content of MTET, language of the question paper, qualifying marks and award of MTET certificates, validity period of the MTET certificate, examination centers, admit card, rechecking or re-evaluation, and weeding out rules. So you all understand that when you are going to apply for any exam, not only MTET, it can be NET, it can be CTET, any exam. So it is very important that we understand what are the eligibility criteria, right? So maybe some of you forgot to apply, some of you made some mistakes in the application form, so forget about that. But for the next Mizoram TET exam, you can prepare through this video, all right? Because whatever gone is gone. Now you're just waiting for your exams. But even it is always better to have a broad knowledge of whatever exam you're going to appear. So it will be very good if you know the following before writing your examinations. That's why I'm making this video in your interest. All right. So, all right. Important notes. All applications in prescribed form duly filled in should be submitted online through MBSE portal before the specified last date. So it should have been submitted by then, and I believe that you all have submitted. But those who did not do or could not do this year, you can of course watch this video for the next or the following year. Now, fees for MTET exam 2025. So general category, if they want to write only paper 1 or only paper 2, then they have to pay 600. But if they want to write both paper 1 and paper 2, they have to pay 900. General people, right? Now those who belong to reserve category like SC, ST, OBC, PWD, these category, if they want to appear only for paper 1 or only for paper 2, then they have to pay 500 rupees. And if they want to appear for both the papers, then they have to pay 800 rupees. So there is just 100 rupees difference between the general category and the reserve categories, all right? And again, it is written that fees once paid will not be returned under any circumstances. Candidates must ensure that the application form is filled completely and correctly in all respect. Incomplete or incorrect application shall be rejected without assigning any reason thereof. So before you apply, you should make sure that you are qualified, you are eligible, you submit the form with full description of yours. And furnishing of false, wrong or inaccurate information may lead to cancellation of the test result, forfeiture of certificate, and even prosecution in appropriate cases. So if you are trying to if you're trying to put forward any wrong information, incorrect information, false information, then you might be barred from appearing for future MTET examinations, right? Qualifying the MTET will not confer a right on any person for recruitment or employment, as it is only one of the eligibility criteria for appointment. See, once you qualified Mizoram TET or Meghalaya TET, let's say, it does not mean that you will be given a government job until and unless you qualify the interview, right? Qualifying MTET, fine, you got the mark sheet, which means you are capable or you have the ability to become a teacher because you are a qualified TET qualified candidate. But if you don't pass the interview, then your MTET certificate alone will not be able to help you, right? The candidate should satisfy his or her eligibility before applying and shall be personally responsible in case he or she is not eligible to apply as per the given eligibility criteria. So before you apply for the exam, you should make sure that you are eligible. It is to be noted that if a candidate has been allowed to appear in the Mizoram TET, it does not imply that the candidate's eligibility has been verified. Now, again, they said that suppose if you are given a chance to write your MTET exam, it does not mean that you have been verified, all right? It does not vest the candidate with any right for appointment. So even if you qualify for the MTET, it does not mean you'll get the appointment. The eligibility shall be finally verified by the concerned recruiting or agency appointing authority. So whoever is appointing you, LP school, UP school, DSEOs, SDOs, right? They are the one who will give appointments to you, provided you are eligible in all the aspects. Now, Place of examination will be as per it is written on your admit card. Day and date also as it is given in your admit card. Time, it is the same, that is 9:30 to 12, right? 9:30 to 12, which means 2 hours and 30 minutes for paper 1. And for paper 2 it is 1:30 to 4 o'clock, which means again it is 2 hour and 30 minutes, right? So these are the timings. These are background and rationale. In accordance with the provision of subsections 1 of Section 23 of the RTE Act, the National Council for Teacher Education (NCTE) had via notification dated 23rd August 2010, 29 July 2011 laid down the minimum qualification for a person to be eligible for appointment as a teacher in class 1 to 8. It had been inter alia provided that one of the essential qualification for a person to be eligible for appointment as a teacher in any of the schools referred to in clause N of Section 2 of the RTE Act is that he or she should pass the TET, which will be conducted by the appropriate government in accordance with the guidelines framed by NCTE. The rationale for including the TET as a minimum qualification for the person to be eligible for appointment as a teacher is under it would bring national standards and benchmark of teacher quality in the recruitment process. So it says that in order for the person to become teacher from class 1 to class 8, the people have to qualify the TET exams. In Meghalaya we have MTET, in Mizoram we have MTET, in central level we have CTET, right? So these teacher eligibility exams has to be qualified by the candidates who wants to become the teacher, because this is the minimum standard which we expect from the teachers. All right, so it would induce teacher education institutions and students from these institutions to further improve their performance standards. It would send a positive signal to all stakeholders that the government lays special emphasis on teacher quality. So to sum up, we can say that it is for the all-round development of the teacher, not the students alone. So if the teachers are qualified, if the teachers are trained, if the teachers have cleared their TET examination, means we know the quality of the teacher, right? The government of Mizoram has entrusted the responsibility of conducting the Mizoram TET to the Mizoram Board of School Education as per notification dated Aizol the 5th November 2012. So MBSE is responsible for conducting the Mizoram TET examination from 5th of November 2012. Since then, the MBSE is conducting the MTET exam, right, for the Mizoram. Let us see the applicability. The MTET shall apply to government schools, deficit school, government aided schools within Mizoram. So whether you're working in ad hoc school, whether you're working in deficit school or government school, MTET applies to you. MTET may also apply to the unaided private schools who may exercise the option of considering this seated. So MTET can also be applicable to those private schools who exercise the option of considering the seated. All right. Now let's talk about the eligibility. The following persons are eligible for appearing in the MTET. So who is eligible? Let us see. For primary school teacher or LP teacher, minimum qualification for becoming a LP teacher is option A, senior secondary class 12 with at least 50%, right, and should have passed or appearing in final 2-year diploma in elementary education, which means class 12 with DLED. Then again, senior secondary with 45% marks and have passed or appearing in diploma in elementary education DLED. All right. Then again, senior secondary with 4-year bachelor of elementary education BLED. Then senior secondary again with 50% marks and appearing or passed the diploma in education in special education. All right. Now, for middle school teacher or for middle school, right, the minimum qualification for becoming a teacher for middle stage, graduation, you have to be graduate. All right, if you want to work in UP school, you have to be graduate and should have DLED, or you should be graduate and should have BEd, or you should be graduate with 45% of marks and should have passed or appeared in B.Ed in accordance with NCTE, or senior secondary with 50% marks and have done 4-year BLEd, senior secondary or 50% marks and should have passed or are appearing in 4-year integrated BA or BSc or B.Ed or anything. All right, graduation with 50% marks and passed or appearing in B.Ed special education, or post-graduation with minimum 55% marks or equivalent grade and 3-year integrated B.Ed or M.Ed. So these are the eligibility criteria to become the government teacher of Mizoram. Relaxation up to 5% in qualifying marks in the minimum education qualification for eligibility shall be allowed to the candidates belonging to the reserve category. So 5% 5% relaxation will be given to all the candidates belonging to a reserve category. All right, diploma or degree course in teacher education, for example, the purpose of this notification, a diploma or degree course in teacher education recognized by the NCTE only shall be considered. However, in case of diploma in education, that is special B.Ed and B.Ed special education, a course recognized by RCI or Rehabilitation Council of India only shall be considered. All right. Next, the minimum qualification referred above apply to teachers of languages, social science, social studies, mathematics, science, etc. In respect of teachers for physical education, the minimum qualification norms for physical education teachers referred to in NCTE regulation dated 3rd November 2001 as amended from time to time shall be applicable. So except physical education teacher, rest for the eligibility criteria remains the same. For teachers of art education, craft education, home science, work education, etc., the existing eligibility norms prescribed by the state government and the other school management shall be applicable till such time the NCTE lays down the minimum qualification in respect of such teachers. So these are the eligibility criteria, right, depending on the subjects. The candidate not having any of the above qualifications shall not be eligible for appearing the Mizoram TET. So those who don't have the above required qualification, better not to go. You are not qualified. The candidate should satisfy his or her eligibility before applying and shall be personally responsible in case he or she is not eligible to apply as per the given eligibility criteria. So that's why it is very important that you check your eligibility, whether you are actually qualified to apply or not. It is to be noted that if a candidate has been allowed to appear in the Mizoram TET, it does not imply that the candidate's eligibility has been verified. So once you are allowed to write the MTET exam, it does not mean that your eligibility is verified. All right, it does not vest any right with the candidate for appointment, and it does not mean that you will say, oh, I qualified MTET, now you have to give me the government job of LP teacher or UP teacher. It's not like that, right? The eligibility shall be finally verified by the concerned recruiting agency or appointing authority. So whether you are fit or whether you are eligible, whether your interview went well, whether your demo went well, so depending on all these factors, you will be considered for appointments, all right, by the concerned authorities. Procedure to be followed during filling online application form. So now suppose you want to apply for the next MTET application form. So how will you apply? What is the process? Number one, make sure that all particulars are to be filled up correctly. So you have to make sure that your name, your roll number, your name, your date of birth, your phone number, your address, everything is filled up correctly. House number and landmark should not be mentioned in the locality column. So in the locality column, don't mention your house number and all, right? In the locality column, both the locality name and the village, town, city name should be entered. For example, Chanmari Aizol, Chanmari Longklai, Dinthar Sangau, Dinthar Aizol, Zotlang Champai, Zotlang Longlei, then Vengtlang Sifir, Vengtlang Champai, etc. So this is how you write your permanent address, right? So they have given, see, this is incorrect. If you write like number 2 here, permanent address, this is the wrong way. However, above you see permanent address, that is the right way, right? So this is the correct form of writing. This is the wrong form of writing. Now, you see, due care should be taken in uploading of passport size photographs and signature. So you should make sure that when you're uploading the photograph, it should be inside the box and it should fill the box completely. See, it should not be like tilted, or it should not be too small inside the box. It should be exactly according to the size of the box. Then signature should be this way, the correct one on the left side. Middle one and the right side are wrong, right? Wrong way. Again, applicants should remember his or her phone number and password used during MTET registration for future references. So you have to remember whatever you are using, the phone number or the password, you have to remember that. All right. Now, procedure to be followed during conduct of MTET. Candidates are advised to go through carefully all the given points before going for examination. So you have to make sure that you are well informed before you go to write exam. The examination rooms or hall will be open 30 minutes before the commencement of the test. So before 30 minutes only of the commencement of your exam, the rooms will be open. The candidate must show on demand his or her admit card in the examination hall or room. So you have to carry your admit card along with yourself. A candidate who does not possess a valid admit card shall not be permitted for the examination under any circumstance. So if you do not have your admit card with you, you may not be allowed to appear for the MTET exam. A seat indicating roll number will be allocated to each candidate. Candidates should find and occupy their allocated seats only. Any candidate found to have changed room or the seats on his or her own other than allotted his or her candidature shall be cancelled and no plea would be accepted for it. So whatever the room you are given, whatever the bench you are given, according to your roll number, you should sit strictly only there. You should not change your room, you should not change your bench or desk, right? A candidate who comes after the commencement of the examination shall not be permitted to sit in the examination. So those who come after the gate is closed or the exam is started, you will not be allowed to write the exam. So be very careful, all right? Candidates are not allowed to carry any textual material, printed or written material, bits of paper, mobile phones, calculator, or any other electronic devices except the admit card and blue or black ball-point pen inside the examination room or hall. If any candidate is in possession of any of the above item, the material will be seized and his candidature will be subjected to scrutiny. So you know that these TET exams, MTET exams, we write in OMR sheet, which means we have to make use of a blue color or a black color ballpoint pen, right? And you are not allowed to carry any other electronic devices or any other printed materials inside the examination hall, right? No candidate without the special permission of the center superintendent or the invigilator concerned will leave his or her seat or examination room until the full duration of the paper is over. Candidates should not leave the room or hall without handing over their answer script to the invigilator on duty. So no candidate is allowed to leave between the examination. Once the time allotted for the exam is over, then only you can leave the examination hall. And make sure that you submit the OMR sheet. Candidates are allowed to bring with them a cardboard on which nothing should be written so that they have no difficulty in writing responses in the answer sheet, even if the table provided in the examination room or hall do not have smooth surface. They should also bring their own ballpoint pen, black or blue of good quality. This will not be supplied by the board. So if you want to take your cardboard, you take it and make sure that your cardboard is clean, right? And carry the blue or black ballpoint pen. 20 minutes before the commencement of the test, each candidate will be given an answer sheet. So you will be given your OMR sheet just 20 minutes before your exam starts. This is important, my dear friends, all right? My dear friends of Mizoram, my dear friends of Meghalaya, remember, this time I heard a lot about all these things, but I don't want to mention in this video. But make sure that what is written in the handbook, the invigilators, they follow it. So it is written that 20 minutes before the commencement of the test, each candidate will be given an answer sheet. So make sure that before 20 minutes of your examination starts, so before 20 minutes, you should get the OMR sheet, all right? Candidates will fill in the required particulars on the answer sheet with ballpoint pen only. So make sure, suppose your exam is starting by 9:30, so by 9:10 you should get the OMR sheet with you and you should start filling up, right? Candidate will fill in the required particulars you can fill up. Candidates should take extreme care in filling the particulars as the answer sheet will not be replaced under any circumstances. So that's why it is very important that you don't make any mistake in your OMR sheet, because once a mistake is made, then your OMR sheet becomes invalid. Alright, so you have to be very careful. And if you don't know how to fill in the OMR sheet, then I already have a video in Ashok Tutorials YouTube channel, so you can find that and you can go through it. Alright, 5 minutes before the commencement of the paper, question papers will be distributed to the candidates. See, suppose your examination is beginning at 9:30. By 9:25 you will be given the question papers also. So 20 minutes before you get the OMR sheet and 5 minutes before the exam you get the question paper, right? Question papers will be distributed to the candidates. During the examination time, the invigilator will check admit cards of all the candidates to satisfy himself or herself about the identity of each candidate. The invigilator will also put his or her signature in the place provided in the answer sheet. So it is the duty and the responsibility of the invigilators to check the identity of the aspirant sitting in his or her room, right? Use of pencil is strictly prohibited. If anybody uses the pencil, his or her answer sheet will be rejected and no correspondence will be entertained in this regard. So if you are asked to use pen, then use only pen, no pencil. Use of correcting fluid is strictly prohibited. If anybody uses the correcting fluid, his or her answer sheet will be rejected and no correspondence will be entered in this regard. So of course it is strictly banned. So use of white ink or correcting fluid is strictly banned in examination, right? You should not carry it. Then candidates shall maintain perfect silence and attend to their questions paper only. So you should not talk in the classroom, just focus on your own question papers. Any conversion or gesticulation or disturbances in the examination room or hall shall be deemed as misbehavior. If you are talking or disturbing others in the class, that means you are misbehaving. If a candidate is found using unfair means or impersonating his or her candidature shall be cancelled and he or she will be liable to be debarred for taking examination either permanently or for a specified period according to the nature of offense. So if you are found doing any unfair means, then you will be debarred from the MTET examination. Not only this exam, but in the future examinations also, right? You will not be allowed to write. After completing the paper and before handing over the answer sheet, the candidate should check that all the particulars required in the answer sheet have been correctly written. So before you submit your OMR sheet to the invigilator, make sure that all the required fields are filled up by you. The candidates must sign on the attendance sheet at the appropriate place. So you will also be given an opportunity to sign on the answer sheet, on the attendance sheet. All right, you should sign that. Now instructions for use of answer sheet. The answer sheets used will be of special type which will be scanned on OMR machine. The answer sheet contains the following items which are to be filled in neatly and accurately by the candidates with blue, black ballpoint pen only. So what you have to fill up in your OMR sheet, make sure that you do not use a pencil. No pencil, no gel pen, no ink pen, only ballpoint pen. All right. So what you have to fill up in your OMR sheet, you have to write your name, your roll number, your date of examination, session of examination, subject, whether paper 1 only, paper 2 only, or both the papers, then language, name, signature of the candidate, and signature of the invigilator. Important. All right. Writing of particulars in responses with blue or black point pen only will be filled up as follows. If your roll number is 21073, fill in as below. So this is the way you will write. Suppose your roll number is 21073, so this is the way you will write your roll number, and this is how your OMR sheet look like. All right. So if you don't know how to fill up your OMR sheet, you are free to inbox me. I will give you the video. Important instructions for marking the responses. Out of the 4 alternatives for each question, only one circle for the correct answer is to be blackened completely with blue or black ballpoint pen only. For example, question number 1 in the question booklet reads as, the capital of Mizoram is Aizawl, Lunglei, Champhai, Mamit. The correct response to this question is A, Aizawl. The candidate will locate question number 1 in the answer sheet and darken the circle as shown below. So this is the way you will mark. See, we know that MTET exam is MCQ based, right? So 4 options are given. From 4 options, only 1 option is correct. So suppose here the capital of Mizoram is Aizawl, so we will choose question number 1, option number A. So you have to darken the A like this, in this way, right? Use blue or black ballpoint pen to completely darken the appropriate circle, that is 1 circle for each entry. See, if you dark A also, B also, then that question will be invalid. So make sure that you do it right nicely. The candidate must fully satisfy themselves about the accuracy of answers before putting the responses in the answer sheets, as no change in answer once marked is allowed. So you have to be very, very careful. Use of pencil is strictly prohibited. If any candidate uses pencil entirely or interspersed with pen markings for darkening the answer sheet, his or her answer sheet will not be evaluated. All right. So you have to be very, very careful. Suppose there are 150 questions, so 5 questions you did with pencil, rest all the 145 you did with pen. That means your answer sheet is, rejected. They will not be evaluated. It will not be evaluated. All right. If the candidate does not want to attempt any question, he or she should not darken. See, suppose if you don't want to answer any particular question, then just leave it like that. All right. Don't mark anything there. But of course, if there is no negative marking, you should attempt all the questions, right? Or attempt all the questions. Please do not fold under any circumstances, please do not fold your OMR sheet. All right, don't fold. The following are to be strictly avoided, as the answer sheets are machine gradable and it may lead to wrong evaluation. So do not use eraser or white ink or correction fluid. Darken the circles completely. Don't partially darken the circle. The MBSE will not be responsible for any wrong evaluation that might occur due to non-compliance with the above mentioned instructions. So if suppose you did not mark the circle nicely, or you use white ink, or you use gel pen, or you use eraser, then machine will not be able to read your answer sheets. In that case, you might even end up failing or not qualifying the exam. All right. Now for the rough work, you can make use of the candidate will not be given will not do any rough work on the answer sheet. All rough work is to be done in the question paper itself. So you will be given OMR sheet and you will be given a question paper. So if you want to do rough work for mathematics and all, you can do it only in the question paper, not answer sheet. Now, structure and content of MTET. All questions in MTET test will be multiple MCQs. All right, so MCQ based the questions will be, each carrying 1 mark. So there are 150 questions, so 150 question means 150 marks, 1 question for 1 mark. All right, with 4 alternatives. So MCQs means, of course, it will be with 4 alternatives. So you'll have 4 options. From 4 options, you have to choose only 1. Paper 1 will be for a person who intend to be primary teacher, and paper 2 is for the person who want to become the teacher for middle section. A person who intend to become the teacher of both the primary and the upper primary, you have to appear for both LP and UP. All right. See, suppose you want to be the teacher of only LP, then you have to write these 5 subjects, that is CDP or Child Development and Pedagogy. There will be 30 questions and it will be for 30 marks. Then language 1, it can be English, it will be for 30 marks and 30 questions. Then language 2 can be Mizo, or it can be alternative English. So here 30 questions, 30 marks. All right. Then mathematics is compulsory, environmental sciences studies is compulsory, right? So total 150 questions and 150 marks. Nature and standard of questions. So the test items on child development and pedagogy will focus on educational psychology of teaching and learning relevant to the age of 6 to 11 years. They will focus on understanding the characteristics and needs of diverse learners, interactions with learners, and the attributes and qualities of good facilitators of learning. The test item in language 1 and language 2 will focus on the elements of language communication and comprehension abilities. Language 1 will be in English and language 2 will be Mizo or alternative English. Alright. The test items in mathematics and environmental studies will focus on concepts, problem solving abilities, and pedagogical understanding of the subject. In all these subjects areas, the test items will be evenly distributed over different divisions of the syllabus of that subject prescribed or primary school by the state. Alright. Then we have the question in the test for paper 1 will be based on topics prescribed in syllabus of the state for primary stage, but their difficulty standard as well as linkages could be off to the secondary level. Now let us talk about paper 2. So paper 2 or UP section. Alright. So here also everything is same. Child development and pedagogy will be there. English will be compulsory. Then either alternative English or Mizo is optional. Then again, either you can take social science only or you can take science and mathematics. So these are optional subjects. Alright. So if you take social science, then social science alone will be for 60 marks. If you take maths and science, then maths will be 30 marks and science will be 30 marks. Alright, it's like that. Nature and standard of questions. So the test items on child development and pedagogy will focus on educational psychology of teaching and learning relevant to the age group 11 to 14 years. They will focus on understanding the characteristics, needs and psychology of diverse learners, interaction with learners, and the attributes and qualities of a good facilitator of learning. The test items in language 1 and language 2 will focus on the elements of language communication and comprehension abilities. Language 1 will be in English and language 2 can be in Mizo or in alternative English. The test items in mathematics and science and social science or social studies will be focused on the concept, problem solving abilities, and pedagogical understanding of the subjects. The test items of mathematics and science will be of 30 marks each. The test item will be evenly distributed over different divisions of syllabus of that subject as prescribed by the middle school by the state. The question in the test for paper 2 will be based on the topics prescribed in the syllabus of the state for middle stage, but their difficulty standard as well as linkages could be up to senior secondary stage. A person who intends to be a teacher for both primary and middle levels will have to appear in both the paper 1 and paper 2. Language of the question paper. So we know that the question paper will be in English, which means you're writing science, social science, pedagogy, everything will be written in English except Mizo. Mizo will be in Mizo. Qualifying marks and award of MTET certificate. So a person who scores 55 marks or more in the MTET examination will be considered as MTET pass. So those who get 55% of marks, they will be declared as qualified candidates. The candidates securing 55 marks and above will be issued eligibility certificates. So eligibility certificates will be given to all the candidates who gets 55% of marks and more. Validity period of the MTET certificate. The validity period of MTET qualifying certificate for appointment unless otherwise notified by the competent authority would remain valid for life. So once you clear your MTET, it stays for lifetime. So it is valid throughout your life. There is no restriction on the number of attempts a person can take for acquiring MTET certificate. A person who is qualified MTET may also appear again for improving his or her score. So suppose if you qualify your Mizoram TET this year in 2025, then you can again, you want to improve your score, then again next year also you can write, next time also you can write. All right, it's up to you. The examination centers. The selection examination will be held at the places as decided by MBSE. The board reserves the right to increase the number of examination centers and to reallot the candidate. Admit card. In case of any discrepancy in the particulars of the candidate or his photograph and signature mentioned in the admit card and the application form, the candidate may immediately contact MBSE for necessary action. So if there is any mistake, you can always contact MBSE. Rechecking or re-evaluation. There shall be no re-evaluation or rechecking of results. No correspondence in this regard shall be entertained. So once you pass means you pass, once you fail means you fail. There is no rule for re-evaluation or rechecking. Weeding out rules. The record of Mizoram teachers eligibility test including OMR sheets shall be maintained for a period of 3 months after publishing of results. So once your result is published, the OMR sheet, etc., will be remaining for 3 months with the the concerned authority after publication of results, and shall thereafter be disposed of in the manner as decided by the authority from time to time. And after 3 months, they will be dispersed or disposed of, right? Now we will talk about the main things. So these are the main things actually which you have been asking me on and on, right? You have been saying like, sir, we don't know what to study, what is the syllabus, from where can I get the syllabus? So searching it all the way, I got the syllabus for you. So this is the structure of syllabus, or this is the exact syllabus for your Mizoram TET examination. So syllabus for teacher eligibility test. So first of all, let us discuss about the primary stage or LP section or paper 1. So first subject we have is child development and pedagogy. So number of questions in part 1. So there will be 2 parts in pedagogy. So in part 1 you will have 18 questions. In part 2 you will have 12 questions. All right, 18 plus 12 is 30. So pedagogy is divided into 2 parts. In part 1 we have child development, perspective in development, factors affecting child development, naturalistic observation, interviews, anecdotal records, narratives. All these things are same with Meghalaya TET. So if you watch my Meghalaya TET videos, it is enough for you. If you want to buy my Meghalaya notes, you can always buy my notes. All right, if you want to get my notes, you can always contact Ashok Tutorials. So physical or motor development, these are also there in our syllabus. Growth and maturation, gross and fine motor developmental skills in infancy and preschool children. See, there are 2 types of motor skill. One is gross motor skill, another one is fine motor skills. So gross motor skills means when you are making use of your large muscles of your body. For example, when you're dancing, you're running, you're playing football, you're making use of the large muscles of your body, right? So large muscles are known as gross muscles. Suppose when you are playing guitar, you're writing something, you're eating your food, then you are making use of your fine motor skills, which means you're using small muscles of your body, right? So it is like that. Next we have is social and emotional development, personality development, Freud, psychosocial development, Erikson, attachment, Ball and Ainsworth, development of emotions, functions of emotions, and the ability to regulate the childhood. See, these things we don't have in Meghalaya MTET, all right? This especially this Ball by Ainsworth, this one we don't have in Meghalaya TET. Childhood in the modern world, how poverty, globalization, and adult culture affect the child, commonalities and diversities within the notion of childhood. So these things are common. Then we have context of socialization, concept of socialization, parenting style, school culture, peer influence, competition, conflict, and cooperation. These things are again important. Now part B of your CDP will be inclusive education. This thing we have in my channel, everything is available with regard to inclusive education. Concept of inclusive education, forms of inclusion and exclusion, addressing inequality and diversity in Indian classroom, pedagogical and curriculum concern, children with special needs, identification, assessment, and intervention of disabilities, approaches and skills for teaching children with special needs. These things are there in Meghalaya TET also. Gender, school, and society also there in Meghalaya TET. So social construction of masculinity and femininity, working towards gender equality in the classroom. Now in part 2 we have teaching and learning process, behaviorism and constructivism and their educational implications, factors affecting learning, motivation for learning, evaluation, concept, process, and purpose of evaluation and assessment, evaluation and measurement, continuous and comprehensive evaluation, tools and techniques of evaluation. This entire thing we have in Meghalaya TET also. Teaching aptitude, factors affecting teaching, methods and techniques of teaching, learner-centered teaching strategies, classroom management skills, planning and implementation, qualities of a good facilitator, emotional maturity, balanced personality, attitude, values, professional ethics, conduct rules, and inculcating democratic ideal and moral values. So these things are also important. These are the syllabus of paper 1, whatever I'm discussing, and especially for the pedagogy. All right, now this is your language, Mizo. Those who are taking Mizo, this is the syllabus for you. And those who are taking alternative English, the syllabus will be the next one for you, right? This one is for those who take alternative English. So part 1 will have 50 marks and part 2 will also have 15 marks. So in part 1 you will have language comprehension, reading unseen passages, 2 passages, 1 prose or drama and 1 poem, with questions on comprehension, inferences, grammar and verbal ability. Prose passage may be literary, scientific, narrative or discursive, right? Then part 2 can be pedagogy of language learning, mother tongue and language development. Mother tongue, definition and meaning, aims and objectives of teaching first and second language in elementary schools, characteristic of qualities of good language teacher, 4 language skills, that is listening, speaking, reading, writing, objectives and method of teaching, prose, poetry, vocabulary and grammar, lesson planning, English usage, idioms and phrases, importance of teaching aids in teaching English, learner assessment, classroom activities, role play, dramatization, recitation, discussion, debate, group work, pair work and project work. Teaching strategies, teaching prose, teaching poetry, teaching vocabulary and teaching grammar. Now we have classroom activities, role play, dramatization, recitation, extempore speech, debate, storytelling. All right, then next we have assessment, so concept and purpose, responding to content and form, using portfolios for subjective assessment. Now let us see English. This English is compulsory for those who take Mizo or you take alternative English. This is compulsory for you. So in English also we have 15 marks for part 1, 15 marks for part 2. So part 1 says language proficiency, reading unseen passages, 1 passage, 1 prose or drama or 1 poem, with questions on comprehension, inferences, grammar and verbal ability. Prose passage may be literary, scientific, narrative or discursive. 4 language skills, that is listening, speaking, reading, writing, right? 4 skills. Then grammar, vocabulary. Next we have part 2, pedagogy of language development, issues on teaching English, teaching English as a second language and foreign language, developmental, socio-economic and psychological factors, key factors affecting second language acquisition, nature of language, approaches and method of teaching English. Let us see different approaches to the teaching of English: behavioristic approach, structural approach, cognitive approach, constructivist approach, communicative approach. All right, then again different methods and techniques of teaching English. How can we teach English? By grammar translation method, audio lingual method, direct method, bilingual method, right? Next, planning, unit planning and lesson planning, English across the curriculum, preparation and use of low cost teaching aids, teaching strategies, 4 skills, listening, speaking, reading, writing. This is what I told you just now, right? Then grammar, then developing and assessing, listening skill, speaking skill, reading skill and writing skill. Next subject we have is mathematics. So you know that mathematics is also compulsory for lower primary section, LP section, right? Paper 1. So in mathematics we have 15 marks for part 1, 15 marks for part 2. Total we have 30 marks. So in part 1 we have geometry, shapes and spatial understanding, solid around us, numbers, addition and subtraction, multiplication, division, measurement, weight, time, volume, data handling, patterns, money. Then in part 2 we have pedagogical issues, nature of mathematics, logical thinking, understanding children's thinking and reasoning patterns and strategies of different making, meaning and learning, aims and objectives of teaching mathematics in primary schools, place of mathematics in curriculum, language of mathematics, methods and techniques of teaching mathematics at primary stage, instructional materials in mathematics, their importance in improvisation, problems of teaching mathematics, assessment in mathematics, concept and purpose, techniques of assessment, assessment tools, diagnostic and remedial teaching, planning for teaching mathematics, annual plan, unit plan, lesson plan, mathematical reasoning, and communicating mathematics. Then we have environmental studies. So in environmental studies also you have two parts. Part 1 will have 15 questions and part 2 will also have 15 questions, altogether 13 questions. All right. So here contained family and friends, relationships, work and play, animals, plants, food, shelter, water, travel, things we make and do. All right. Then pedagogical issues we have concept and scope of EVS, curriculum organization, EVS as an integrated area of studies, EVS as science and EVS as social science, perspective in EVS learning, how children learn based on Piaget, Vygotsky, and Brunner, preconception and alternative conception in children, classroom transaction methods and techniques of teaching EVS, observation activities, discussion, group work, field visits, project surveys, experimentation, process skills in EVS, observation, classification, analysis, communication, measurement, prediction, expression, and inferences, different types of teaching learning materials for teaching EVS, indicators of learning, assessment in EVS, concept and purpose of assessment, techniques of assessment, assessment tools. All right, so those are the things in EVS. Now let us talk about paper 2. Paper 2, or the middle stage. So we have again here common subject, that is pedagogy or CDP, or child development and pedagogy. So here we have two parts. In part 1 we have 18 questions, in part 2 we have 12 questions. So let us see part 1. Child development, perspective in development, factors affecting development, child development, naturalistic observation, interviews, anecdotal records and narratives, physical or motor development, growth and maturation, gross and fine motor development skills in infancy and preschool children, social and emotional development, personality development, Freud, psychosocial development, Erikson, attachment theory by Bowlby and Ainsworth, development of emotions, functions of emotions and the ability to regulate them. Then childhood in the modern world, how poverty, globalization, adult culture affects the child. Then commonalities and diversities within the notion of childhood, context of socialization, parenting styles, school culture, peer influence, competition, conflict and cooperation. All right. Now B, we have concept of inclusive education and understanding children with special needs. Inclusive education, concept of inclusive education, forms of inclusion and exclusion, addressing inequality and diversity in Indian classroom, pedagogical and curriculum concerns, children with special needs, identification, assessment and intervention of disability, approaches and skills for teaching children with special needs, gender, school and society, social construction of masculinity and femininity, working toward gender equality in the classroom. Part 2, teaching and learning process, behaviorism and constructivism and their educational implications, factors affecting learning, motivation for learning, evaluation, concept, process and purpose of evaluation and assessment, evaluation and measurement, continuous and comprehensive evaluation, tools and techniques of evaluation. Teaching aptitude, factors affecting teaching, methods and techniques of teaching, learner-centered teaching strategies, classroom management skills, planning and implementation, qualities of a good teacher, good facilitator, emotional maturity, balanced personality, attitude, values, professional ethics, conduct, rules, and inculcating democratic ideals and moral values. Right. Next, as you know, we have Mizo. After Mizo, we will have alternative English. So it's the same again. So it has got two part 1 and part 2. Part 1 is for 15, part 2 is also for 15. Part 1, language comprehension, so reading unseen passages, 2 passages, 1 prose or drama and 1 poem, with questions on comprehension, inference, grammar and verbal ability. Prose passage may be literary, scientific, narrative or discursive. Part 2, pedagogy of language learning, mother tongue and language development. Mother tongue, definition and meaning, aims and objectives of teaching first and second language in elementary schools, characteristics and qualities of a good language teacher, relationship between a child's growth and language development, importance of mother tongue in a child's growth and development and education, teaching strategies, teaching prose, teaching poetry, teaching vocabulary, teaching grammar. Then we have classroom activities, role play, dramatization, recitation, extempore speech, debate, and storytelling. Then we have assessment, concept and purpose, responding to content and form, using portfolios for subjective assessment. Next subject we have is English. This is compulsory. So English also has got two parts, part 1 and part 2. So part 1, language proficiency, reading unseen passages, one passage, one prose or drama, or one poem, with questions on comprehension, inference, grammar, and verbal ability. Prose passage may be literary, scientific, narrative, or discursive. 4 language skills, grammar, vocabulary. Part 2, pedagogy of language development, issues on teaching English. Teaching English as a second language and foreign language, developmental, socio-economic, and psychological factors, key factors affecting second language acquisition, nature of language. Approaches and methods of teaching English. Different approaches to the teaching of English: behavioristic approach, structural approach, cognitive approach, constructivist approach, communicative approach. Different methods and techniques of teaching English: grammar, translation method, audiolingual method, direct method, bilingual method. Planning, unit planning and lesson planning, English across the curriculum, preparation and use of low-cost teaching aids. Teaching strategies: 4 skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Grammar. Then E, developing and assessing, listening skills, speaking skills, reading skills, and writing skills. Then we have mathematics. See, mathematics is optional, which means if you are taking social science, you don't have to take mathematics. If you take mathematics, you don't have to take social science. But when you are taking mathematics, you have to take science with this, all right? So mathematics also has got 2 parts. Part 1 is 20 questions and part 2 is 10 questions. Total is 30 marks. So content of mathematics part 1 will be number system, knowing our numbers, playing with numbers, whole numbers, negative numbers, and integers and fractions. Then algebra, including ratio and proportion, geometry, basic geometrical ideas, 2D, then understanding elementary shapes, 2D and 3D, symmetry, that is reflection, mensuration, and data handling. Then part 2 or pedagogical issues are nature of mathematics or logical thinking, understanding children's thinking and reasoning pattern, and strategies of making meaningful and learning, aims and objectives of teaching mathematics in middle school, place of mathematics in curriculum, language of mathematics, methods and techniques of teaching mathematics at middle stage, instructional material in mathematics, their importance and improvisation, problems of teaching mathematics, assessment in mathematics, concept and purpose, techniques of assessment, assessment tools, diagnostic and remedial teaching, planning for teaching mathematics, annual plan, unit plan, lesson plan, mathematical reasoning. Now, next subject we have is science. So number of questions in part 1, 20, number of questions in part 2 is 10, which means total 30 questions. So part 1 we have contains food, sources of food, components of food, cleaning food, materials of daily use, the world of the living, moving things, people and ideas, how things work, electric current, circuits and magnets, natural phenomena and natural resources. Then pedagogical issues, aims and objectives of teaching science in elementary school, problems and remedies of teaching science, correlation and interdependence of science with other subjects, educational values of teaching science, qualities of good science teacher, development of scientific attitude, methods of teaching science in elementary school, science museums, field trips, projects and exhibition, different type of assessment, teaching learning materials, teaching aids in science. Then the last one we have is social science. So number of questions in part 1 is 40, and number of questions in part 2 is 20. So altogether it is 60 questions, all right, 60 marks. So content for part 1 will be our past, what, where, how and when, on the trail of the earliest people, from gathering to growing food in the earliest cities, what books and burials tells us, new question and ideas, new kings and kingdoms, the Delhi Sultans, the Mughal Empire, towns, traders and craftspersons, tribes, nomads and settled communities, from trade to territory, ruling the countryside, when people rebel, 1857 and after, weaver, iron smelters, and factory owners, civilizing the native, educating the nation. The making of the national movement, 1870s to 1947, India after independence. Then we have geography, the earth in the solar system, globe, motion of the earth, environment inside our earth, air, water, natural vegetation and wildlife, human environment, settlement, transportation and communication, resources, land, soil, water, natural vegetation and wildlife resources, agriculture, and human resources. Then we have social and political life, diversity and discrimination, key elements of a democratic government, Panchayati Raj, rural administration, urban administration, equality in Indian democracy, state government, gender, Indian constitution and secularism, parliament and making of laws, social justice and the marginalized. Then part 2, pedagogical issues, concept and nature of social science or social studies, important themes in social studies, time continuity in change, social structure and social stratification, civilization, history and culture, state authority, nation state and citizen, region, resources and people, market and exchange. Then we have classroom transaction or processes, different methods of teaching social science or social studies, discovery, projects, narration, comparisons, observation, dialogue, and discussions, teaching learning materials, need and importance, types, improvisation, concept, and sources of data, evaluation in social science or social studies, types of evaluation and tools and techniques of evaluation. All right. So I think this is all. Yes. So with this, we have, I have in fact like completed all the details related to Mizoram teachers eligibility test. Who can write the test? When will you write the test? How much is the fees? Then what is the type of questions? How many subjects are there? How many marks are there? What are the do's and don'ts? What are the rules? Then what is the eligibility qualification you need? What is the pass percentage? Then also I have discussed about the reserve categories, the general categories, right? Then the optional subjects. So everything I have discussed, the admit cards, right? The exams, so the OMR sheets, everything I have discussed, whatever you need to know as MTET aspirants. All right, so my duty or my work is done, and now it is your time, your turn to watch this video nicely, understand this video, and apply whatever you learn in this video in your examination hall. All right, because there are some things which you will, if you don't watch this video nicely, you're going to regret that later on. All right, so there are some things which you need to know as the MTET aspirants, like how much time before you should get your OMR sheet, then how many minutes before you should get your question paper. So these things are very, very important. All right, so remember this. And see, this video I made specially for those who were requesting me on and on that we don't have the syllabus, we don't know what to study, we don't know from where to study, so you were in confusion. So just to clear your confusion, I have made this video with a detailed explanation of the entire syllabus for paper 1 and 2, and I believe that after watching this video you have a crystal clear idea of what to study and what not. And yes, as I told you in the previous video also, that the syllabus of Meghalaya TET and the syllabus of Mizoram TET is 90% same, which means suppose if you don't have any material, if you just study the notes of Meghalaya TET also, it is going to help you. All right, it is going to help you. So it's up to you. If you want to buy Ashok tutorial notes, you can always approach. All right, so and also the videos are available in Ashok tutorials YouTube channel, so you can watch all those videos. The topics are related. Now you have seen the syllabus, so now you know what topic to study, right? So I believe that you already have a crystal clear idea of this as well. All right, and I believe that this video is going to help you a lot. And now the only thing I expect from you is that please share this video with your friends, because you never know who is in need, right? So it can save someone's life, because sometimes we don't know which career to choose. So if there are people like who wants to pursue teaching as their career. They are they are passionate about teaching, so these type of videos should reach to those types of people. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like the video and please share it with your friends. And if you're new to Ashok Tutorials, then of course you have to subscribe to Ashok Tutorials. All right, and yes, now let me know in the comment section, how did you find this video, whether this video was helpful to you, whether you want me to make more videos on Mizoram TET, or whether you got something or the other to learn through this video, right? So it was a pleasure informing and teaching you about the Mizoram TET, and I also got to know a lot about the Mizoram TET through this video, right? So it was a pleasure teaching you all the lovely beautiful people of Mizoram. All right, so wish you all the best and good luck.